Welcome back. I'm Sam Hedden, and we pause that. How do you say your last name?
go-CHAY.
go-CHAY?
So think of it as G-O-C-H-A-Y.
go-CHAY?
Yeah.
I would not have guessed that ever in a million years.
So there's also, there's the fashion designer Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Yeah.
He is Gaultier, and he's like Gauthier or something. I like that.
go-CHAY.
No, just go-CHAY. G-O-C-H-A-Y. go-CHAY.
go-CHAY. I will get that right, I swear, on my life. If not, Andy's going to kill me. He thinks it's hilarious. And he's super nice. He thinks it's funny when I mess up names because he's like, it's always entertaining. I'm like, thank you. go-CHAY. Got it.
go-CHAY. Okay.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it. Welcome back. I'm Sam Hedden, and we have a very special guest named Chris Gauthier. He has been in several television shows and in several films. He's multifaceted writer and an actor, and I hope we get to find out if he's going to be producing in the future as well. So let's have him talk a little bit about his reoccurring roles that he's had, a little bit about his time on Eureka, maybe on Once Upon a Time, and a few other of his amazing skill sets and roles that he's had. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I have to ask, you've been in so many things. Is acting always been your passion, or is that something that's developed over time?
Yeah, I mean, I was always sort of a class clown when I was a kid, and I remember I went and saw this play, and I was like, you can just be obnoxious, and like people will love it, and people will applaud you. So for me, it was an outlet for my hamminess, I guess, as a kid. Hamminess being like obnoxious, I suppose. And so I got into theater at, I think I was around 12 years old or something. So it's always been something for me. And I grew up in sort of a small town in British Columbia. There wasn't a lot going on there in terms of film and television and things like that. So for me, it was about just the love of acting. And it wasn't about money. It wasn't about anything but the sheer love of acting, of like making people laugh, of telling a story. I love it. The immediate gratification is amazing, as well as just contributing to storytelling and to get messages out and to just parlay love and laughter.
You've had several reoccurring roles in some television shows that are some of my all-time favorites, like Eureka, a series of supernatural events, Once Upon a Time. You said you started as like the ham. Do you think doing these roles you've been able to like develop and like get to use more skill sets?
Totally. So what's interesting about that is you get slotted into different categories as an actor. So somebody who is sort of like typically handsome, chiseled jaw, I know I am those things. But so that person will generally be like leads sort of stuff. So for me, being a bit bigger, shall we say, I'm in the character category. So I can do anything from like I played a jock in Freddy versus Jason. I was like sort of like a linebacker or something, right?
Right.
Like total nerd chef. I was a chef in Eureka. Who was lovely, Vincent. Supernatural, I played this conspiracy theorist, which we're getting way too much of nowadays. But my character in Supernatural was very much a conspiracy theorist who turned out to be correct, by the way. And then A Series of Unfortunate Events was fantastic. I mean, he was just like this lovable dude. So it's really cool on like, to bring it back to the hammy thing. Like, I get to do multiple different things. I get to do multiple different accents. On Smallville, I played a psychopath called the Toy Man, which was really, really fun. I should even bring up a photo of that guy because you'll see that the look is drastically different.
I heard that being a character actor, you get a lot of varieties in your roles, and you get to like, really experiment, and you get to like try new things out all the time.
Yeah. I mean, totally different. So from being like a lovable guy if you watched a series of unfortunate events, so like a lovable dope, to this guy.
Yes, that's great.
And he was great because he didn't have any discernible superpowers. His what made him a supervillain was his ability to build toys that like exploded. That was basically his thing.
Wow, he'd rule the world right about now.
But he ended up being like a really notable bad guy in the Smallville world towards the end of the actual run of the show. So it was really fun. It was really fun, and I get to play a variance. Like accents. I mean, I love what I get to do, and it doesn't always work out like that. It goes in trends. So sometimes you'll have a lot of character stuff, and then sometimes you'll have like shows that are military based, or right. You know what I mean. So you won't necessarily have a lot of character types, and so I kind of go wherever character actors are going. So if there's not a lot of character actors, I'm not working as much.
Well, let's hope there's lots of character actors so you get lots of work. So that's helpful.
Generally, there will be. Generally, you'll have like the odd couple, even in very straight TV series and movies and stuff like that. You'll have like one guy. But then the competition gets much more serious, right?
Right.
Because it's like all of the character actors in Vancouver going for one character.
One spot when there's like 12 of you and you're all like, we'll get coffee later, but right now... Like, I hate you.
Right now, it's on.
That's right. That's right. So, who are some of your inspirations or some of your influences in, like, what you do? Like, are there any actors or any movies that really influence you?
Sure. Yeah. I'd be remiss to not mention Jack Black as one for sure. But also on the flip side of that, there's Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was amazing, you know. Him, I've always really loved John Malkovich, and it's strange because it's totally like I have none of his attributes or none of his, you know, because Philip Seymour Hoffman, bigger dude, Jack Black, bigger dude, but for some reason, there's something about John Malkovich that I just adore. And he's been somebody that I've watched very closely for a long time. There's so many out there. There's so many really, really wonderful actors. Stellan Skarsgård, amazing stuff. Amazing actors. There's way too many to mention.
You're also a writer. Do you stick to scripts, or do you do more writing like books or comic books or anything?
It would be it would just be scripts, and I've got a few credits as a writer in there, but it's stuff that I've sort of like either improvised into a scene or conceptualized a story. So I think some of my writing credits on IMDb probably are short films that we've done, and I've helped in sort of just making the skeleton and then fleshing it out. Not necessarily like sitting down and writing a draft or anything. But I'm very left-brained, so I like to work visually and performatively.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. My biggest loaded question is, what's your favorite film and why?
Oh, wow.
That always catches people off guard, but...
Yeah, and I know. I mean, you'd think that, like, working in the industry, you would have that at the ready, but there's, like, it's such an amalgamation, and I won't just take the easy road. I will work through it and kind of think of one. I love The Fisher King. Inglourious Bastards is another one that's well up there. I loved that film. Christopher Waltz in that is amazing. Oh man.
See, it's a loaded question. I know. It gets everybody when I ask it.
I know. Well, it's not so much even that I just want to be like obscure or pretentious about it. I just like let me think about it as this goes on. Yeah. And then I'll drop it on you.
Perfect. Are there Do you have any upcoming projects that you can tell us about, or anything recent that you've been working on?
Sure. Yeah, so I did a small bit in the pilot episode of a show called Next, which is airing on Fox in October.
Oh,
I don't
cool.
know if you've seen any previews for it. That comes out on Fox in October sometime. I should have had that ready. And then I just did a Hallmark movie, and I'm working on another Hallmark movie right now called The Christmas House.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hallmark movies. So that is not
yeah,
something I would have
yeah.
pictured,
There's a lot
considering
that shoot up here. A lot of Hallmark shoots in Vancouver.
which is so. In the last few projects that you've done, have they been more television based or more film based?
Well, so it's kind of a mix because Hallmark is film for TV.
Right.
So it's been like a kind of a more television. I would say recently. Unless like Series of Unfortunate Events was a really really super fun one to do, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be in the second season as well. And I, because in the books it's not necessary that the character that was in the second season was the same as the character that was in the first season, if you
Right.
know what I mean. So it was really cool to get to do that. I love like any time you can perform and just really get out of yourself, for me is amazing. So whether it be a commercial, whether it be TV, whether it be a movie, like for me it doesn't matter. I just love to work. I love acting. You
So
know,
you also have a family. How do you balance out your very busy acting schedule and your family life?
I have an incredible wife. No, it seriously. She actually does help me with all my auditions and stuff like that. I don't know if you're aware of the audition process, but typically you would go in to a room and you would wait with a bunch of other actors, and you would get called into the room, and then you would be seen by the casting director. And oftentimes you're seen one time, and then you'll get what's called a callback, and you'll have to come back, and then the directors and producers and whoever else will be in the room, the agency people if it's a commercial. Um, and so now in our current world, it's all done via we pre-record, and it's been amazing. And when I do work, like if like so something like Series of Unfortunate Events, I was on, I maybe shot for 3 weeks, but then I won't work again for like maybe a month, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 2 months. You know what I mean? So I get a lot of intense and quality family time in between and even during, because everything shoots in Vancouver, so it's not like I'm going to locations. It's different for actors like my friend Lee Arnberg, who comes from LA and leaves his family and then he's stuck here. You know what I mean? Like that's a little bit different.
Right.
For me, I like get to come home and see my kids at the end, so it's great.
I guess right now is a good time to totally plug Lee and say thank you for
Yeah, thanks,
introducing
Lee.
us. So thank you. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Lee.
that. I guess this would be a
Lee,
good
whom
time
I
to
know
do
from Once
that.
Upon a Time, who plays Grumpy.
Yeah, I love that show,
Yeah,
but
me.
that's just personal opinion. Um, can you tell us a little bit about the character you played in Once Upon a Time, since that came up?
Sure. Yeah, I played a character called Smee, who is Captain Hook, played by the wonderful and very handsome Colin O'Donoghue. So I was basically his sidekick. So basically, any kind of storyline that they needed Hook to get something, but they didn't want to jeopardize the character of Hook, I was kind of the guy that would go and steal a cape, or anything that kind of he didn't want to do. But it was super fun. I love that kind of stuff. Like just like endlessly doting sidekick. I think it's just such a rad character. Just to be so smitten with Captain Hook was so much fun. It got hot. I don't like if you've seen the show, you know that I wear just like layer upon layer upon
Yep.
layer upon layer of clothes because I'm a pirate. So shooting in Vancouver during the summertime can get very very hot. And then you're in a studio too. But that was an amazing experience. I mean, I remember the first episode that we did together. We actually shot on a ship.
Really?
So we were out on the ocean shooting on this ship, and the ship was amazing. It was like the Cadillac of boats. You didn't feel any motion at all. Like, it was absolutely incredible. And it didn't feel like you were moving, but you would look off to the shore and you would see something like a landmark, and then you would like go and do the scene, and you'd look back out, and it doesn't feel like you were moving at all. And then you'd look back out, and the landmark's like way back there. So it was really cool, and it opened me up to a lot of really cool adventures as well. Like, so I ended up doing a whole bunch of Once Upon a Time conventions.
Oh yeah, I
Specifically
suppose.
for Once Upon a Time, and then just got to like meet like the fans of the show. So I'm always so grateful for stuff like that, and Supernatural also did that for me, like allowed me to do conventions and things like that.
Hi guys, I'm Chris Gauthier, and I play Smee on the television program Once Upon a Time. What is something that you would be surprised to learn about me? I was born in England and lived there until I was 5, and I now live in Vancouver, and I pretty much can't stand seafood. Now, that is the major food groups of both regions that I came from and now live in. It's a little bizarre. I'm starting to learn to like it, though.
Hi.
Hi.
So if you could pick any role, genre, like what's your dream movie or dream TV show to star in?
Like if I could star in any style thing, it's really typical, and I feel bad about saying it, but like Game of Thrones, any kind of thing like that, and I would like to be the kick-ass dude. I would like to be like the Sam, but he's like the lead. And I mean Sam like as in like Sam and Frodo type thing. I would like to be the chubby lead guy. Like fat, but he can kick ass, you know what I mean? So I would be like Jon Snow or something, but fat. That, or something really serious, because I feel like that would be a huge departure for me. I often say to people that whenever I do a role, I feel like there should be tuba music playing in the background, because the parts that I get, it's always like, stupid sidekick guy, yeah, so my guy, I always feel like there's tuba music going, boom, 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 boom. I'm not degrading myself, I just feel that's the way it is. Thank you.
Hi. My question is, what was your favorite scene in the Jolly Roger?
In the Jolly Roger. I want to say the first one where Hook and I first meet there. That was so special because that was the live stuff. That was like you're on the boat, and it was just like so magical. And both Colin and I were new. Like both Colin and I were new to the set. We were meeting all this crew for the first time together. And we even had our costume fittings together. And I remember, here's something you may not know. I talk about this at panels quite a bit. When Colin, we had our fittings at the same time as well. So I got fitted for my Smee outfit. And I'd come out and I'm like, yeah, it's great. Everybody liked it. And they were like, it's great. And then Colin comes out. And he's basically got what he's got on, except he's got this super duper long kind of like hairband wig. Like, that was gonna be Captain Hook. Was gonna have this hair down to here, like down to here. And like super flowy and stuff, and I think we both just looked at each other, we were like, just do your hair. So that first scene, and then also the last one we did, the one on the Jolly Roger with Henry. Just because that was like, we never had it rocking that big before. We actually, like the mast actually broke off at one point, the extra that was up there just about went flying off. Like it was an adventure within the adventure, like it was crazy. It was a long, long day though, but luckily Colin got us was able to rent us a hot tub for afterwards. Because we were just getting doused with water. They tried to make it warm, but it would just cool off. And so we kept getting splashed by this water, and it's literally these water cannons for, I kid you not, 14 hours of these water cannons being shot at us. As we're being like rocked like this. Boom, boom, boom. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, it was lovely to just like, me, Andy, and Colin all got to sit in a beautiful warm hot tub at the end of the day and finish it. It's wonderful. Thank you, great question. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
So I'm a huge fan of the show Once Upon a Time.
Cool.
So I was wondering what you think your character would do if he was thrown into the supernatural world.
He would align himself with somebody evil, I think. Somebody evil but good. Basically, that's what he did in the Once universe. He aligned himself with Hook. Yeah, I would have to think he'd do something like that. He'd align himself with a demon or something. But either way, he would be a sidekick. Thank you. Thanks.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. Good, thanks.
What was it like being in Freddy vs. Jason?
Oh, that was so cool. When I auditioned for that in the first place, I went out for the original. So when you go out for a part, you audition. You probably already know this, but you go out for the part, you audition, and then you'll get a call back, which is with director and producer and stuff like that. So they get a chance to see you and get a feel for you in person. So I had auditioned for this, and I was a massive fan, specifically of Nightmare on Elm Street. And so when I got to go out for this part, I was like, yes! And it wouldn't have been a boom, 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 boom. So this was exciting for me too. So I ended up going out for the audition and I loved it. And I felt like I did a really, really good job. And then I was shooting a commercial, so I couldn't make the callbacks and I was devastated. And then they ended up just casting me off of the first audition anyway, which was absolutely amazing. I loved every minute of it. The only drawback was that I was killed by Jason and not Freddy. Which is, oh sorry, spoiler alert. But it was so much fun. This is like I love horror. So yeah, actually I revised my former answer too about Game of Thrones. I would also star in some kind of horror thing. I got a flaming machete through my chest, and we were in a cornfield I think we were in a town called White Rock outside of Vancouver, and it was about 6 in the morning, and they hooked up this hose to me, and it ran down my chest and down my leg, all the way back about 100 feet to a guy with a pump. And when I got hit with the machete through the chest, they would just go, "You're hit!" And I'd have to go like, I had this mouthful of blood too, so I'd let the mouthful of blood go, and then that squib, that hose that came up my chest, would squirt a bunch of blood too. Fortunately, we got it in one take, because it meant running through a cornfield. It was so cool. I love it. I love horror. Thank you.
The corn syrup kind of blood?
And it was corn syrup blood too.
What's one of your favorite memories of working on Supernatural?
Oh man, like the guys, Jared and Jensen, they're so friggin' funny, and like we just got down and dirty and did it. Like when I auditioned for it, it was meant to be for a much older guy when I did it, but I guess they liked my conspiratorial take on it, and they booked me. And so it was like the whole process was really kind of cool and intimate. So it was me, Jared, and Jensen that sat down and did the read through for the episode. So sometimes they'll have a read through before you shoot, and sometimes they don't. So we basically just like sat down and read the scenes between us, which was really cool to get to know those guys beforehand. And then when we were shooting, another cool aspect was we were actually downtown Vancouver. The scenes in a bank are actually in a bank. We were in a bank, and I got to shoot a shotgun in a bank. So from a purely like boyish standpoint, for me, that was like incredible. This is not a robbery! And I blast off a shotgun. It was insane.
Every childhood dream you get to like
exactly.
Live. That's
Who
awesome.
wouldn't want to shoot a gun in a bank?
Or be on a boat shooting.
Or be on a boat. I mean, yeah, you
scenes,
do so
yeah.
much. And then with the cons for both of those shows, like, you know, I've traveled to like England. I've traveled all around America, Toronto. Just like, it's really cool. It's really cool. And the cast on both shows are just absolutely amazing, you know. So it's not.
So do you
like,
keep in contact with the cast or any of the crew that you worked with?
Yeah. Actually, I'm good. One of the crew guys, one of the carpenters, he grew up with me.
Oh.
In a small town. So he moved down here first. He started as an extra, and then he ended up getting into the carpentry aspect. So he was on there. But other people too, other actors. And I still see Neil Grayston from Eureka, who played Fargo. I worked on for sure. Yeah.
So, going back to this, have you figured out what your favorite film is yet?
Oh, darn it. I was thinking that all the time. Dang.
I know, right?
I want to get it really right. I'm going to go with, what's something I could just like put on and just like...
See, it's one of those questions. It's like, what movie could I put on and be perfectly okay with it playing all the time?
Yeah, or something that like it comes on TV and you're like going
to get stop and be like, I need to watch this.
This again.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sexy Beast.
Really?
It's Sir Ben Kingsley and Ray Winston, and it's about Ben Kingsley's character coming to get Ray Winston to do another mob job, and they're British gangsters. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Ben Kingsley is quoted as being the anti-Gandhi in this. He also played Gandhi, so he's just like it's one of the craziest acting performances I've seen.
Well, hey,
anybody who's watching this, go and watch Sexy Beast. It's so cool. For the soundtrack,
you didn't just pick like some like random movie. It's actually one that like you want to watch, so that's good.
Yeah.
Wow,
so it's not necessarily deep meaning or anything like that. It's just like I just get so sucked in every time.
I know that feeling. I have the same thing going on with several films, especially around Halloween, and you're just like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, seasonal films, totally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite seasonal, like fall or winter films that maybe like you and your kids would watch, or you and your family?
Things sort of perennially that we will watch, like Nightmare Before Christmas around Christmas time.
Yes,
we like that one. We like that one a lot. Yeah, that's probably, and then just like Peanuts stuff. Like
the Peanuts game, the stuff based out of Minnesota.
But like old style stuff, right? And then I can't remember even the name of it right now, but it's those like sort of like puppets type thing. It's like from the 50s or 60s, I think.
Yeah, but sometimes those are the best though. Like those.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, those get to like the Muppets and stuff like that. Those are like the best, especially from like a Muppets Christmas Carol is like on my list. Like, have to watch it every Christmas.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Muppets are classic though. They're so
good. Yes, they are. Especially the animal, when you're just like there are days where that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. I relate to Fozzie. Fozzie's my guy. Fozzie Bear.
Somehow I'm not surprised by that at all. From our short conversation thus far, definitely not surprised in the least bit. I think that's pretty much all the questions that I have. Is there anything that you want to plug or anything you want to put in, like a website, or is there any extra stuff?
My name's Chris Gauthier. I'm Captain Gauthier on Twitter and Instagram as well. All one word, Captain Gauthier. Gauthier. I get political on there, so you might not want to follow me, but if you like that kind of stuff, then I won't say which way right now. But screw Trump. Just kidding. No, and go Canucks. I hope that doesn't rankle feathers and
No. I'm in the wrong state for that.
I know, I'm sorry.
No.
Bad. I had to.
Bad.
At least I saved it for the end of the interview, because then people are like shutting it off now.
That's right. They're like, my time's done. I'll finish. Dink.
That's it. And thank you so much, Sam. It's been really fun and pleasure to meet you.
No, I think it's great. I'm glad that you were able to fit it in. I know that you've been pretty busy and that you were that things have they've been going, I'm assuming, well for the most part.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you're able to join me.
Yeah.
You guys got to meet an amazing actor, someone who really enjoys his work, who's been in a multitude of movies, television shows, and I'm really glad that you all got to get to know him a little bit better. This has been Sam Hedden with producer Andy Watson, and now you know Chris Gauthier.
Or you can do it your way first, and then you can do it my way, and then we'll just see which is better.